What's up, Frugal founders? Jeremy here. In today's episode, we're going to talk about trademarking your business name, whether you should do it yourself or find a lawyer to do it for you. Now, really, it depends. You can totally trademark a name and do it yourself. It will require you to do some research in terms of the ideal specimens, the ideal description you should put down, like how you should phrase things in order to holistically capture the entirety of your idea and the name that you're trying to trademark. In fact, that's something that I did way back in 2015 for Startups Give Back. I wanted to trademark it. Now, me being frugal, of course, and being strategic with my money, I wanted to figure out if I can do it myself to basically save me some money, because the money that I would save, I can use for other things. So I ended up sending in 2 applications for Startups Give Back. The first one I sent was not accepted by the US Trademark Office, and so I had to redo it. And so I redid the description, resent it, waited again, and now the wait time can be months. It really depends. But for me, when I trademarked the first time and the second time, it was definitely several months before I heard back, and they were both denied. And so the third time, it's like, okay, well, I can try to do it again myself, or I can bite the bullet and go find a lawyer that has experience with filing trademarks. And so I found a lawyer that is amazing. She has a ton of knowledge around the legal side of business and a ton of experience when it comes to filing trademarks. And so I met up with her in San Francisco, and I basically explained what my idea is and what the name is and why I'm trying to trademark it. She took down some information. She put together the application, sent it into the US Trademark Office, and it was accepted. Now, of course, there's now some wait times. There's a range. Once you get that trademark accepted, there is a time frame where another entity can dispute your application, whether it's an individual or a company. They can dispute that because maybe the name is too close to something that already exists. If you're like me and you want to use your money strategically, you don't want to have to go out there and just spend everything when you can potentially do things yourself. At the same time, you like the learning process too, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do it. I just wanted to learn about applying for trademarks and take some lessons there. So if I had to do it myself later on, I could. And so the DIY approach, you can definitely do it yourself. And in fact, my lawyer, when she did do the application and actually reviewed my previous applications, I wasn't too far off. There's a couple of things that I needed to fine tune. So in fact, I could have actually have done it myself if I would have described things the appropriate way. But of course, I don't have a legal background, so I didn't know those things. So when it comes to you deciding whether or not you want to do it yourself or find a lawyer, it really depends on your budget. If you want to go the frugal route, you can try doing it yourself one time and just see what happens. And if you get a denial, then go find a lawyer. But I will say, now having gone through this process a couple of times and having a lawyer that helps me out, it does make my life easier, because now I don't have to do the actual work. I can just go to my lawyer and let her know what I'm trying to do, what my idea is, what the name is, and then she'll fine tune things on her end and do things. Of course, you're spending money up front, and that can be several $100s up to maybe $1,000 or more, depending on the lawyer and their experience. But at the same time, you don't have to do that work. So there's an opportunity cost. If you have the cash, I do recommend vetting several lawyers. Don't go with the very first one. Vet some lawyers, check out their pricing so you can compare and contrast, look at their experience level, if they're with a firm, what's their firm's reputation, all those things before you move forward with a lawyer. And having a lawyer help you out with the trademark process does make your life easier. I will say that. I don't regret trying to do it myself, because I did learn some things from that. But I will say having a lawyer does help, because again, that's work off of your plate, so that way you can focus on other things. To me, that's the biggest benefit here, is that you can take that work off of your plate and hand it over to somebody else, so that way you can focus on the other things that you need to be focusing on, like launching your idea and fine-tuning your messaging and things like that. So ultimately, when it comes down to it, whether you should go with a lawyer or do it yourself, both can work. The lawyer is probably the easiest path, again, so you don't have to do the extra work, but you're going to have to pay more. If you do it yourself, you pay less, but like me when I did it, you risk the chance of getting your application denied, which isn't the end of the world. So my recommendation is, if you are a frugal founder and you're looking for ways to cut costs where you can, try the DIY approach first, and then if that doesn't work, search for a lawyer. if you have the cash and it's not a big deal, then I definitely would recommend going the lawyer route. So that way you can fast track and get that application approved and you don't have to worry about it. But of course, not everyone has the cash to do so. But it's very important to trademark your name. Ultimately, that is the biggest takeaway here, is that it's really important to trademark your name. You want to protect yourself. Having a domain name only gives you a certain amount of protection. A trademark for a name is much more robust than a domain name. If you have a domain name and somebody else tries to infringe, you have an argument, especially if you started the domain name before another person tried to use that name. But you're running a risk there. You don't have 100% immunity. But if you have a trademark and someone tries to use that name, they're infringing on you, and now you can take legal action. So, moral of the story, if you have a business name and you are really serious about this business, you want to turn it into something, trademark your name from the very beginning. Question of the day: have you ever accidentally infringed on somebody else's trademark like I have in the past? What was that experience like? What did you feel? Let me know in the comments below. With that, thank you so much for watching and tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode of Frugal Founder Hacks.